It's the Brad and John Show.
It is the Brad and John Show. Today's date is June 23rd. This is the B Block, and this is where I get to do my top three, John. I mean, John, you're not mad at me for doing my own top three, are you?
I love it. I think it's fantastic, and I'm so proud that you've kept it going this long, Brad. No sarcasm.
What day is this?
I think it's Brad Cam Day. I think it's day number 8 in a row.
Brad Cam Day. Okay. We started off with our girls.
It's time for Brad's Top 3.
Yes. And they have to do it twice because it's the rule in the union. Come on, ladies. It is time for Brad's Top 3. What I do is sometimes these are real stories that I think need a little bit more sunshine on them. Sometimes it's me ranting, and sometimes it's just stuff I make up. No, it's all real stuff. Okay, we start off with...
It's number 3.
Yes, number 3. John, guess who the focus of the number 3 story today is?
Give me the initials.
M.O. And she's a rich woman who has everything in the world, but yet all she does is complain lately.
Mike Otten.
No, Michelle Obama. Okay.
Oh, okay, Michelle. Shout out to Mike Otten. Sorry, I didn't mean to call you a woman, Mike.
Michelle Obama. Okay. Why is she always complaining? John, if you were married to the former president of the United States and you had people begging you to run for president, begging you to do things and have the life of like if what's the guy's the lifestyles of rich and famous, what was his name again?
Robin Leach.
Robin Leach. If you had Robin Leach who was going to do not just a part of a show, but an entire show about you and your hubby, Barack, wouldn't you say she's got the life? But all she does is complain. You ready for this one, John?
I'm ready. I can't wait to hear what she's mad about now.
Michelle Obama says she's so glad, and that's an exact quote, she never had a son.
Oh, really? And
yes.
Why? What's the rationale there?
I saw this headline and thought to myself, okay, what is this? Let me read this. Former First Lady Michelle Obama spoke out about parenting this week on her IMO podcast, saying she's glad in retrospect she never had to deal with the pressure of raising a son with Barack Obama. Now, see, right away, I'm going like, okay, let's do the Tony Colombo flip test on this one. Okay, if you turn it around and it's Barack Obama who comes out and says, let's say he had 2 boys instead of 2 girls, and Barack Obama comes out and says, I'm so glad I had 2 boys because I would never want to raise a girl. He would be like, the wrath of The View would come down upon him, and you never want that to happen to you. You know what I'm saying? And
I do know, yeah.
Every women's organization in the world would come down. I can't believe he said that. But Michelle Obama can say, oh, I'm so glad we didn't have a son. And the story, it's just sort of weird. It devolves into this kind of stuff that I'm going like, okay, how in the world can you say that? I am the father of 3. I'm the proud father of 3 sons and a daughter, okay? And I will tell you that raising my 3 sons was challenging. Matter of fact, I had the discussion with somebody over the weekend. Someone is asking about my kids, and I gave them the whole lowdown on my 3 sons, especially my youngest son, who, I've told the story about the fact that he was an absolute positive terrible student. My oldest son never graduated from high school. A lot of crap went on in his life, and to a certain extent, some of it was he got himself into trouble. Others was he just got picked on by an assistant principal. Yes, I will say that, Mrs. Davis. He got picked on by an assistant principal, and finally he just dropped out. My youngest son, once again, is the nicest kid in the world. Always to this day. I mean, everybody likes him, but he's a Bernie Sanders devotee. And if it were up to him, we'd all be making, I told you this, John. I had a discussion at dinner with him a week ago Monday night, and I talked to Bernie Sanders because he's always talking to me about Bernie Sanders. And he's going, we need that livable minimum wage. I go, $100 an hour? Well, that's too much. Why is it too much? Maybe get $500 an hour. Make $1,000 an hour. Anyway, going back to Michelle Obama, she gives all these reasons. I won't go into it. It's just, to me, it was like, okay, this is stupid, And once again, women are perfect. Her daughters are just 2 perfect women. You don't think her daughters sneak out and smoke a doobie someplace when the Secret Service, I believe they still all have Secret Service protection, don't they? I think the whole family still does.
Yeah, I think so. I don't know how long it lasts, but it lasts a while.
Well, that was the complaint about with Hunter, because of the fact, I believe the way it was supposed to work is the Secret Service protection protects the kids till they're 18, once you're out of office. And I think that
You're right, yeah.
And I think that was the deal. They were saying, well, Hunter's not 18, he's in his 50s. Okay, so your opinion, John? What do you think of Michelle Obama?
Well, first of all, what I don't get is, what is her explanation? Like, should we give her more of a fair shake? Is she saying, like, the pressures of raising a boy are too much in this society, or like, what's her rationale? She has to have a good rationale.
That was part of it. Part of it was the fact that he would turn out to be another Barack. He would be like a mini-me Barack kind of thing. And she didn't. See, there's all these weird stories about her and Barack getting divorced because you don't see them together. Matter of fact, just recently, they were together for the first time. She didn't show up to a lot of things. They're never together. And she's got some guy that she comes out and says that she loves this guy. You know, now, me, after I read...
But hold on, Brad. That does sound... I mean, that sounds like kind of fun speculation of, like, she chose to not go to, what was it, some kind of Trump thing, or she chose to not go to a funeral or something like that. But that could just be she doesn't want to be around all this nonsense, right?
I don't know. I mean, you know, I don't know.
And I know that we still have two more stories to get into. I would maybe here, I can't believe I'm about to say this sentence, but maybe give Michelle Obama the benefit of the doubt in that I think it's hard to raise boys. I think it's a pretty mainstream idea now to point out that it's hard to raise boys in a gynocentric world where boys have really no leaders. There's no, you and I have talked extensively, Brad, and you do a great job of articulating how there's very few positive masculine role models for men.
Right.
I don't know. If she's really complaining about this as you portray it, then I think it sucks. But maybe she's got real reasons to not want to raise a boy.
I'll send you the article. I
won't read it.
John, I'll send it to it and I'll put the preface, I'll put the, in the subject line, I'll put, John, don't read this article, and then you will read it. Okay, we ready for number 2?
We sure are.
Okay, moving along to number 2.
It's time for Brad's number 2.
Yes, and of course, we have to say it twice.
It's time for Brad's number 2.
The ladies do such a good job of this, okay? I am going to start a new award, and I'm going to, matter of fact, I may even have a plaque made up and give this award out. And you know what the award is going to be called?
What's that?
The Adam Schnelting Award for Stupid Legislation.
Oh, Brad, Hildebrand. Now, why do you refer to Adam Schnelting legislation as being dumb, Brad? You have a very specific reason.
Self-serving regulation. Remember earlier this year, and when I brought it up, I don't think you believed me when I first brought it up, but then I actually pulled up the bill and read just what part of the bill was. He's a state senator from St. Charles County, and he proposed legislation that if you didn't get out of the left lane when there was a car behind you, you would be thrown in jail and tortured by eating 5-day-old White Castles for lunch every day. That was what he...
That's true. And they would also, after they impound your car, they would slap a Joy 99.1 sticker on it. Right. So everybody knows you drive too slow.
And the idea being is, let's be real life. He didn't come out and say this, but he lives in St. Charles County. I think his St. Peter's district and stuff like that. He has the old Bill Eigel district. Isn't that what it is? The old Bill Eigel?
I think so, yeah.
Okay. So when he gets on I-70 and he's heading to Jefferson City and he's in a hurry because he's an important guy, there's somebody in that left lane and he's doing 95 and the guy in front of him is only doing 94 and he flashing his lights and the whole bit and the guy doesn't move. He wants that person arrested. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, that's self-serving. First off, you're violating the law by going over 70 miles an hour, that stretch of interstate once you get out to west of Wentzville, where it does crank up to 70 miles an hour. Secondly, there's already law in the state of Missouri that says keep right except to pass, right? But no, Adam Schnelting has got to have his own.
Okay, so that's good background. What's the new one, Brad?
The new law is a guy, this is a lawmaker. This guy is in West Hartford, Connecticut. His name is State Senator Martin Looney, Looney. And maybe there's a little tip-off.
Could be a tie there, right? Yeah.
He's a little bit loony to begin with, okay? Martin Looney, he wants a state law that movie theaters on their listings would post 2 times on the tickets the start of the actual movie and the start of the previews. Because he doesn't want to show up if the paper, nobody reads the paper anymore, but back in the day, people used to go to look at the paper see what movies are playing. Now when you go to the website and the website says starts at 7:20, that means that the previews start at 7:20 and the movie probably starts at like 7:40 or 7:50 because you got to sit through all the previews. He wants a state law in Connecticut that would put both times in every listing. Every theater would be required required to list 2 times. Previews start at 7:20, movie starts at 7:45. Because he doesn't want to sit through the previews. Now, can I give you my Brad small business angle on this?
Heck yes.
Okay, first off, the movie theaters, I would not want to be in the movie theater business right now. I don't know how in the world, we had the Warenberg people go away and the Marcus people came in and bought most of the theaters. We still have AMC in the area. I don't know how they make any money. I really don't know how they make any money. Maybe they make it on their $42 popcorn or whatever it is.
Maybe, yeah.
But the problem on this is it's more regulation. And not only that, the reason they do 20 to 30 minutes before the movie is because they sell ads and people sit there and they watch those ads and the people pay the theater money to run those ads. So in other words, what did I say his name was again? What's his name?
Brad Looney. Let's just call him Brad Looney.
Martin Looney. He's essentially saying, those theaters, they're making enough money. I paid $18 for a small water, and I don't think I should have to sit through the stupid previews. John, this is what I have a problem with these legislators, is they get this power trip, and they go, well, this happened to me, so I'm going to make it a law that you can't do that. Get what I'm saying?
I get exactly what you mean. So this is probably colored by his own experience. And I'm guessing this guy is a Democrat.
I'm trying to read. Looney says...
We can assume he's not a libertarian, that's for sure.
Get this. Looney said he knows most people account for those extra moments before a movie, but that is an abuse of the people's time, and they shouldn't.
Now, if he was smart, Brad, what he would do is he would start an initiative petition instead. Like, why ask the legislature to do their job and pass a law? I mean, you should just go around them and have an initiative petition.
John, when you go to the theater, isn't part of the theater experience sitting in the, if it moves, it starts at 7:20, watch the previews, isn't part of the experience going and sitting down in the theater and thinking, wow, this movie's going to be good. And then you watch the previews of upcoming movies. Yeah, there's some ads mixed in there, but you go, wow, look at that. There's going to be a Fast and Furious 42. I wonder what that's going to be about.
Let me interrupt, Brad. I happen to agree with you. I will say it's pretty ridiculous. And I will say that the last few times I've been to the theater, I've noticed... I'm not a movie guy, so anytime I'm at the theater, it's there to see stuff that the kids want to see. But I have been taken aback by how long the previews go. I mean, if a movie starts at 11, the movie really won't start till 11:25. And so I think it's pretty silly, but I consider it part of the experience. So I'm with you on that.
Yeah, and for somebody to pass a law against it, because once again, this would mean that the theater is going to have to, we've got to change our website around and blah, 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 blah. Dude, you know what? Buy a DVD player. You can go to Wally World like I do, and you can go through the $5 bin. There's all sorts of nice DVDs in there. Matter of fact, just last week, I got it in the other room. I'll bring it in. I bought like a DVD 5-pack. It's got like 5 DVDs in it, and you'll laugh when I tell you what the DVDs are.
Wow. And the best part about it is somewhere in Bentonville, Arkansas, folks are looking through a sales report, and they're saying, hey, remember that 5-pack DVD that we said nobody would buy? Some sucker in Missouri bought one.
Okay, I'm guilty as charged. Okay, here we go. Number 1.
And now, big finish, Brad's number.
I hate to turn this into an obituary piece because just last week, I think my Friday one was Bill Gates Sr., and it wasn't that he just died. He died a couple years ago. But it was an interesting story about Bill Gates Sr. and about how he was influential with Howard Schultz buying Starbucks coffee when it was just a little startup.
That was a great story, Brad. I had never heard that one before.
Right. I've always been a huge fan of Fred Smith. You know who Fred Smith is?
The name sounds familiar, but I don't know him.
He is the guy behind Federal Express.
Oh, Brad, I saw this weekend. Yeah,
yes.
So tell this story.
He died at the age of 80.
And he was a gambler.
He was a gambler. And an interesting guy, Marine Corps veteran, served two tours of duty in Vietnam. And trust me, if you were a Marine in Vietnam, during the Vietnam, what do we want to call it? We can't say war because it technically wasn't a war. Conflict. You had some lead coming down range that was aimed at your head. Let's put it that way. So he was not the kind of guy that sat in an office somewhere. He was out there with the grunts, fighting the VC, okay? He comes back to the United States, and he has this vision of starting this company that would deliver things essentially overnight. And it didn't go well to begin with. Now, on the very first day of FedEx, the very first day they went into business, guess how many packages they delivered? How many packages they took from point A to point B back in the day when they started FedEx?
20.
186.
You're kidding me. That's all.
That was it. That was day one of FedEx. Okay, because people are going like, well, why do I need to get it there tomorrow? Why do I need?
What's the rush?
What's the rush? I'll just give it to UPS and it'll take 3 or 4 days, or I'll give it to Postal Service and it'll never get there. But back in the day, the Postal Service was better than it is right now. So things did not go well for Fred Smith. And the story, and you probably heard the story before. I know you had because you referred to him being a gambler. At one point in time, things were very bleak for FedEx, and they were down to their last $5,000. And they were behind in their jet fuel payments for some of their jets. They couldn't pay the FBO to put jet fuel in, and the FBO essentially was saying, look, you don't come up with the cash on Monday, we're not putting fuel in your jets, so we're essentially grounding you. So he took one of his jets and flew to Las Vegas, withdrew the $5,000 in cash from his bank account, flew to Las Vegas, and gambled the $5,000 and won. And I think he won like $30,000 or $40,000. Flew back in the jet, paid off the fuel supplier, and they were able to keep flying. Long story made short, that was the pivotal time in the business because then people started to pick up on that. Now, a couple little interesting insights into Fred Smith. First off, he was responsible for a federal law. And I say federal law on purpose. You know why I said that?
Did it have to do? Oh, here's why, Brad. You've explained this on the show before, but I'll repeat it. There was a lawsuit. The government, FedEx is the only company based on its legacy that's still allowed to put federal in their company name.
Yes, you
Brad,
can.
you cannot start a radio station called Federal Westplex Radio because it has federal in the name.
Right. There's a law, and if you go down to Jefferson City or you pull up the Secretary of State's website and decide you're going to put in a new LLC today, if you call it, John's Federal, whatever, cigar store, they will say, I'm sorry, sir, but you cannot use federal. You cannot have federal in your company name anymore. The other point of this is, and a lot of people don't realize this, there is a St. Louis connection to Fred Smith. Do you know?
I don't know. What is it, Brad?
June 19th, 2009. I'm reading an article, okay? The St. Louis Business Journal is reporting that FedEx founder and CEO Fred Smith has emerged as a potential buyer for the St. Louis Rams. Smith does meet one huge qualification for buying Chip Rosenblum and his sister Lucia Rodriguez's share of the Rams. He has Scrooge McDuck's swimming pool of cash money. He also has an interest in owning a football team and currently owns, this is in 2009, a 10% stake in the Redskins, which he'd have to sell in order to purchase the Rams. And this is the story. In 2009, he was going to essentially buy out Stan Kroenke, and he was going to pay. And you remember that this is what's wrong with our laws in the United States. Chip Rosenblum and his sister, when Georgia Frontier, the owner of the Rams, passed away, they didn't want to sell the Rams. But the problem was they were going to have to pay an estate tax that was more money that they can raise. It was going to be like $100 million estate tax or something like that. And they couldn't pay it. So they essentially had to sell their interest. So they sold it to Kroenke. Now, here's the coulda, shoulda, woulda question. If Fred Smith would have bought the Rams, do you think they'd still be in St. Louis?
No, I think he probably would have he probably would have sent them to Saigon. And the travel cost would have been pretty high.
Well,
but Brad, you like to complain about how football teams host games abroad. What if every home game for the Saigon Rams was over in Vietnam?
Well, there were people that were said at the time that he was going to move them to Memphis. But if I'm not mistaken, they already had the Tennessee Titans have been around. Have they been around for 16 years? Because this article was from 2000.
Because we played the Titans when we won the Super Bowl. Remember?
That was 1999. Was that right?
Yeah, okay. It was 99 into 2000, yeah.
Okay, so Fred Smith a incredible entrepreneur, incredible business person who made as this article talks about, Scrooge McDuck, swimming pool of money. Here's a guy that I have always had tremendous respect for, and I have read that anecdote about him flying to Las Vegas. John, there's something about being an entrepreneur, and I'm not trying to say that I've flown to Las Vegas with $5,000 in cash, but I can tell you story after story after story after story, myself included, of people I know who run businesses, and almost everyone has a story like this, where they run now a very successful business that you'd never know in their background. There was a moment when it was like you had to poop or get off the toilet, so to speak, where your business could have just cratered within hours, but you did something that went above and beyond the call of duty, and you saved it, and now the business is a huge success. And the reason for that is, John, go back and read the book Think and Grow Rich. And what keeps me going from moment to moment, and even though John makes fun of me all the time, what keeps me running these radio stations is a part of the book of Think and Grow Rich, and I can almost give it to you verbatim. And it's the sub-chapter. It's called 3 Feet to Gold. If you have access to the book, Think and Grow Rich, you could probably look it up on the internet, and it's public domain now. You could probably just said, Think and Grow Rich, 3 Feet to Gold, bang, you'll have the article right there in front of you. Read that article, and you will never be the same. Well, some people won't. Some people.
That's uplifting, Brad. And you are a big fan of sublimation, which is Napoleon Hill's thing. Every time you're tempted to look at a Tulsi Gabbard bikini picture, you just go out and you sell another ad to
it's not
a small business in the West Park. You take all that energy and you put it into ad sales, don't you?
It's not sublimation, it's transmutation. That's
transmutation, which is a form of sublimation, actually.
And once again, the chapter in the book, which I had a problem with, because at the time my boss was Ron Grubbs, who at the time was on wife number 5, ultimately have wife number 8, and he was the ultimate. I won't say he was a hound. You put your own word in front of that. I thought to myself, if that's what it takes to be a successful business person, I'm out. But later, after I read the book several times, it hit me. I know the mystery of sex transmutation. And
now you do. And Brad, I think we're all pleased that day you went into the gas station and you pulled the lever on the Torch Electronics gray machine and you saved the stations.
John, way over time. How was my top 3 today? I'm going to rate you.
It was fantastic, Brad, and congratulations on 8 shows in a row, Brad.